Well, g'day, welcome to Stu Shed, the YouTube Chronicles. Today I'm just going to have a very quick look at these things, being the Rockler Bench Cookies. Just had a set come in the mail, so I thought I might as well give them a try like a number of other people have around the place. Just to clarify, if you're wondering what all the noise is about, it's sort of got a dust extractor right above my head because I'm making quite a bit of dust when I'm testing these things out. So without any further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into it. Just quickly, these have got a bit of an anti-grip surface on the bottom and on the top, so they grip onto your bench and also hold the workpiece. They're meant to work in quite dusty environments, and at the moment I've got a bit of dust on the surface. I haven't deliberately contaminated the surface, but I'm not taking any particular precautions in that regard. And these are to replace what is normally traditional as the anti-slip mat. And quite often what I've been doing in the past is actually clamping the workpiece down when I've been doing some of the jobs like routing. But in this case, I'm just going to put a bit of a round over edge on this edge of the board, and I'm just going to use the bench cookies to support the workpiece, just dropping roughly one in each corner. And let's see how we go. And as you can see, even from that very quick demonstration, I've got absolutely no problems with the boards not moving at all. They're held quite firm. I've done a full round over. In actual fact, I've gone quite a bit deeper, just so I can actually, we've been removing quite a bit of material in one pass, so that should put quite a bit of side loading on the board. But you know, just with the weight of the router and just the standard technique, that hasn't moved at all, and I've been able to run an edge very easily. Just to take that a little bit further, I'm also going to do a bit of a sanding job on this board. So I'll just change over to my, in this case, a random orbital sander. That was working reasonably well. As you can see, when I was loading up one edge, the opposite edge, because I was pushing down quite heavily, actually had a chance to walk a little bit, so that's an interesting observation, but not too drastic in this case. Go from that and then go on to some different types of sanders. Now, power cord's all twisted up. Now in this case, what I'm actually going to use, instead of using a, what do they call it, a disc sander, this is actually an Australian invention. It's called the Spider, and it has, you can put all sorts of different materials into it. In this case I've just got little circular drums, and from a small drum sander, but put a number around the circumference. It actually comes with those in part of the kit. That's quite a bit of dust, so part of the reason for the overhead. And if you're wondering about my health and doing that, I'm not breathing while I'm doing that sort of sanding. So all that dust that was being generated then, I wasn't actually breathing it in, it's just going up there. But normally I'd actually be wearing a bit more dust protection than that, just because of the amount of dust it's generating. This is another invention from the same company. It's from T&T Design. This case, it's what they call the Blowfly, and they call it the Blowfly because of the noise it makes. And here I've just got strips of sandpaper in it, and obviously when it spins it actually gets those throws those out, and it means that you can sand in all sorts of different shapes and crevices. And again, you can replace these bits of sandpaper with a number of other different materials, anything that can fit on the spline. And even here, the sandpaper, if you actually cut that vertically, you get quite a nice flap sander, and I've used that actually very successfully in the past for sanding contours and things like that. And both of these, the Blowfly and the spider, they can be mounted in obviously a handheld drill, or they can be mounted in your drill press. And again, you probably wouldn't use them on a flat board, they're more for doing edging, but I just wanted to show that the bench cookies were doing their job. Now, just while we're on the point of the Blowfly, got something like this. It's quite a contoured piece. I'm just going to use a more traditional clamp here to clamp these down. This is where you can start seeing the real benefit of the flap sander, particularly if this was actually serrated. See, very easily, very quickly, I can get right into the contour there. Now, you would say that quite often you'd use an oscillating or a drum oscillating sander for that sort of job, and yeah, well, that's true. Difference is, these things here are 25 bucks, so it becomes quite a cheap alternative to one of those dedicated machines. And look, it does produce a very nice, very easy job. And the nice thing that I do like about this, and both that and the spider, is the fact that it can take a whole variety of materials. It doesn't have to be just sandpaper. And as you can see, I'm getting, well, I know you can't see very well on this tape, but you're getting quite a bit of wear at the tip. But as that wears down, you keep getting into the fresh material, so you really use up the sandpaper and not just the outside of it. So anyway, that's a very, very quick look at a couple of different things here. As I said, the spider, the Blowfly, and obviously Rockler's Bench Cookies. And yeah, they just performed a perfectly good job without any sort of problems. Just drop them on the table and drop your work on top. So yeah, very successful little demonstration. Very brief, and look, if you want more detail, come across over to Stu's Shed, which is www.stusshed.com. And I go into a lot more detail on all these sorts of products over time, and I'll be doing a more in-depth review of both the spider and the Blowfly in the near future. So something worth keeping an eye out for.